The biggest crisis that Jackson is going to preside over is known as the Nullification Crisis, and it all has to do with the tariff of 1828, or as the South Carolinians would call it, the Tariff of Abominations. What starts it all? Well, basically, John C. Calhoun is going to write anonymously, or should I put it in quote anonymously, what's known as the South Carolina Exposition of Protest, basically declaring that tariff of 1828 to be unconstitutional and therefore null and void within South Carolina's borders. And on top of that, if the federal government tries to enforce this tariff within South Carolina's borders, they would actually secede from the Union. This idea, this nullification idea, is what it was inspired by, if you remember, Jefferson's Kentucky resolutions when we talked about state interposition. Jefferson clearly is trying to use the word nullification, but he ultimately uses the word interposition. The Tariff of 1828 is going to be the arena that nullification and that doctrine of nullification is going to be tested, and it's going to fail. We'll see that both radical states' rights doctrines of nullification and eventual secession both do not work. But nonetheless, the John C. Calhoun is going to declare the Tariff of Abominations, mainly because it says he believes that it forces Southerners to pay for more expensive industrial goods. The British are reducing their import of cotton, and it hurts the South even more. And so basically what has happening is the South is experiencing more expensive goods with less money to act with. And so in 1832, the state of South Carolina nullifies the Tariff of 1828. Jackson is trying to figure out who's behind it, and eventually he's going to find out it's John C. Calhoun that's behind this whole thing. And this is the final betrayal of Calhoun against his boss. It's going to be the final break between the two men. You'll see that when Jackson runs in 1832, Calhoun is no longer on the ticket. But nonetheless, Jackson, his position about this whole thing is going to be rather mysterious. Jackson's a states' rights guy. He believes in the 10th Amendment when it comes to the giving the powers of the states, the powers not given to the federal government, giving it to the states. So they were expecting him to go along with this, but they find out very quickly that he believes that the Union is perpetual, and you cannot break it apart. Therefore, they're kind of surprised at Jackson's response. Jackson responds the only way Jackson can respond as a person, in the most extreme. What does he do? He basically has Congress pass the Force Act and signs it into law. Basically, what this allows him to do is invade South Carolina in order to enforce the Tariff of 1828. And and so South Carolina goes, hold on a second, wait a minute, we've got Jackson now all riled up and pissed off at us. We might want to rethink this. But Jackson's not an idiot. Jackson's also going to try to negotiate a settlement, and basically behind the scenes, he's going to negotiate a lowering of this tariff over the next 2 years to make sure South Carolina feels a little bit more comfortable with this tariff. And that's exactly what he does. The compromise tariff is going to lower the duties as much as 20% when it's all said and done 10 years down the road. But of course, the nullifiers in South Carolina are not going to take this reversal without firing one last shot. What do? They nullify the Force Act, but nonetheless, Jackson's has already gotten what he wants, so he kind of lets it slide. But as I said before, this is going to be the last break between Jackson and Calhoun. Calhoun is not going to be on the ticket in the election of 1832. Rather, it's going to be Martin Van Buren. So it's important for that one reason. Another reason is going to be that this is an important preview of the Civil War. In fact, one of the most notable books about the Nullification Crisis, it's actually called The Prelude to the Civil War, the Nullification Crisis. Kind of tells you in that author's mind how important that this crisis actually is.